Power plants, allies, protectors, siddhis. Carlos Castaneda. Hello, this is Chris speaking. Wake Up with a video about Carlos Castaneda's books, Keys and Secrets number 5, Power Plants, Allies, Protectors, and Siddhis. Power plants are not called power plants because they're so powerful, although that is true, but because they can give access to power, which is called vibhuti or siddhi in Sanskrit. All supernatural abilities or perceptions are called powers in Carlos Castaneda's system and books. And how do we get these powers? Different ways. As I said before, there are basically two different systems he's talking about. The first one is sorcery and shamanism, and the second one is knowledge and enlightenment. The system of sorcery, the so-called old sorcerers, they were chiefly concentrating on the collection and achievement of powers, while the man of knowledge is a system of enlightenment, and you don't need these powers, but you get them anyway, usually on the path, along the path. The easiest way to get along this path of enlightenment, the man of knowledge, and to perceive different realities is to stop the world. I already made a video about that as well. Another way is to use power plants. And power plants, he basically talks about two types of power plants. One are called allies and the other protectors. Peyote, mescalito is a protector, while nightshades and psilocybin are allies. Another example for protector would be ayahuasca or San Pedro also. Those are teachers. These are plants which you can ask questions and get replies without having to give anything in exchange. They can give you information about all kinds of things. For example, about how to use plants, how to use healing plants. That is very well described also in The Wizard of the Upper Amazon, which is a book I can really, really recommend, by Bruce Lamb. You can write to me if you want book recommendations about this topic of power plants. Aside from Carlos Castaneda, there have been people who tried to walk Carlos Castaneda's path. Most of them have been unsuccessful, and Carlos has been criticized a lot by causing thousands of hippies to roam through the desert looking for peyote and disturbing peyote ceremonies and this and that. But actually, it was not really his fault, because he says very clearly in almost every book that they're not necessary. To take these plants, they can be helpful, they can speed up a certain process, but they're not necessary. They're only for the most stubborn minds. If the mind cannot be stopped by any other method, or if you're really in a hurry, then you can take these power plants under supervision. Only under supervision of someone who is very, very experienced in that. It's not a solution just to pop in some mushrooms or some DMT or chew some peyote buttons or eat some nightshade seeds or whatever. It's very dangerous also, especially nightshades. You can really damage your liver and so on, which even happened to Carlos himself as far as I know. So these power plants, they're not necessary. Doesn't matter if you take these ally plants, which are basically plants that can be a bit scary. Like everyone knows who has taken mushrooms before, it can be scary, nightshades too. And then there are those who really offer information, like ayahuasca and peyote. This is very, very important to understand, to get. I cannot repeat it often enough. And Carlos really says that several times very distinctly. It's not necessary to take power plants. Also, it's not necessary to have allies. Allies are hard to describe. Basically, they're siddhis, but you could also say they're beings. Yeah? In the subtle world, in the vital world, there are beings which can teach you something, but only in exchange for something. And these I would avoid. It's not good to make a deal with them. Yeah? Sure, it can speed up the process a little bit, but then to make some contract with a being that you don't really understand, why would you do such a thing? It's really unnecessary. Don't do it. And the last aspect of this power topic, yeah, power plants, power siddhis, is that Carlos Castaneda or Don Juan describe that to see different kind of realities and to be able to switch from one reality to another, from one perspective or perception to another, you need to accumulate a certain amount of power, which is very, very similar to what the ancient Vedic rishis say, like in the Raja Yoga, for example. This is all very similar to Raja Yoga, that you have to accumulate power, that you have to accumulate siddhis, that you have to accumulate chi or prana, or whatever you want to call it, so that you can sustain higher levels of consciousness or other levels of consciousness. Sustain them for a long time, and also to be able to switch between them voluntarily, not by chance. And again, for this, of course, power plants can be helpful because they throw you into these other realities for a limited amount of time. But this way you will not learn how to control this. You can peek into different realities, but the real goal is to be able to do this on purpose, by your own volition, when you want to. And this is not something that power plants can teach you. For this, you need to let go of belief systems. You need to clean up your past and your traumas and your conditioning. And once your history is clear, and once you're not traumatized anymore, then also whenever you accumulate these vibhutis and siddhis and powers, then you will not misuse them. Because if you misuse them, that's something that Meher Baba explains, you will fall back. You will fall down a long way. And you will not get into the enlightenment thingy. Yeah? You can play around a long time in this vital, subtle world and worlds. But if enlightenment is your goal, knowledge, as Carlos calls it, you need to let go of everything, including the feeling of being powerful. Because powers always have the danger that you will feel powerful. You think you have these amazing abilities, and you have these amazing perceptions, and you have this amazing knowledge. So you are amazing. But you can never experience enlightenment, because enlightenment is the absence of a me, I feeling. Okay, that was it about power plants and siddhis and allies and protectors. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to all my Patreons. Thank you for joining me on Patreon. Thank you for recommending the videos to your friends. and see you soon.